One sentence summary: Eddie and Venom don't get along, then Carnage shows up, then it's the end. Could you be the villain? I'm not even sure how they really won in the film, except through the power of friendship. But yeah, I'm going to set Carnage on fire and then blast some loud music at him, and thus he will die. It's weird to me that Venom has exactly the same weaknesses as Carnage, and yet it still takes so long for them to think, you know what, we should bloody use the weaknesses. Those would be good. How would you improve this film? Venom and Carnage meet once at the end of the film, and the fight would have been exactly the same if they had met like before the title sequence at the start. Because there's no build up of tension and drama between the two, no rivalry, anything along those lines. Venom doesn't even acknowledge the fact that it has like a spawn or a child or something. For a film with Carnage in the title, and it's about a blood monster teaming up with a serial killer, there's surprisingly little gore in this. Why is there a flashback to, I think, 1996, when Woody Harrelson would have been about 30, I think, showing him as like a teenager, so like 17 or 18 years old in some sort of weird orphanage thing? And if you are transporting a prisoner because they've got increasingly dangerous superpowers, maybe try and restrain that prisoner. Cletus and Shriek haven't seen each other for about 30 years. If they had been living a life of crime together, like a natural born killers style kind of thing, going across the country murdering folks, and then they get captured, he goes to normal jail, she goes to super jail, that would have been more of a bond, in my opinion, rather than this is puppy love and like literally the first girlfriend or boyfriend either of them have had, and then 3 decades later they meet up again for the second time. Also, if Shriek has been locked up since the 90s, how come she knows modern slang? It felt like this film revisited locations just to remind you of the last film. Like, hey, remember this restaurant? You like it, don't you? No, I did not like the last film. I don't like the restaurant. If Venom thinks that Sonny and Cher the chickens are best friends, why does he also think chickens are stupid? If they're smart enough to, form emotional bonds, they are smart enough to be, not stupid. Unless you're talking about people. Eddie is completely inept and rubbish in this film. And I know the point is that he's not a perfect guy, but it seems like the only way he has succeeded in the past must be like he's got a rich uncle who got him a job or something. One Google search is, or the equivalent of a Google search, is all it needs for Venom to find the exact location he's looking for and uncover all of Cletus Cassidy's victims. And that felt like the magic knife in Rise of Skywalker, where you just hold it up and then you're like, oh wow, it's looking there. Wow, treasure map. Didn't like it. Most of this film is Tom Hardy talking to himself. He's good at what he does, but I got bored of it by the end. When Cletus breaks out of prison, he steals a car, then he turns up the music. And then the symbiote reveals itself to him, and he's like, oh my god, you're real? How did you think you got out of the prison without it being real? And also the loud music, how loud does it have to be for it to turn into a weapon against the symbiotes? I'm not sure. Eddie's all up sad because, the woman who dumped him at the start of the last film has still dumped him and is actually trying to move on with her life. So, I'm getting engaged now. He's all like, oh, okay, I'm sad. And he's driving down the road on his motorbike, and he's got the helmet visor up even though it's raining, so surely that'd be going in his eyes. And then seconds later it's not raining anyway, so, no problems. The guard at the prison definitely saw Eddie with some weird goo arms reach out and grab Cassidy from across the prison cell. But, that never goes anywhere, so glad that guy wasn't paying attention. And a superhero meets a normal person, and that normal person's like, hey, cool costume. Stop doing that, films. It's cliche. I don't like it. Was that woman in the club singing the theme song to this film? Strange. And how many times are we going to do the superhero loses their powers in a sequel thing? Stop doing that, films. It's cliche. And then the film didn't even really explore that anyway. So I was like, well, okay then. Venom, he wants to be a lethal protector, and he says it 150,000 times in the film. And then when he and Eddie break up, he's just jumping from person to person. And I'm pretty sure he's killing those innocent people that are not a good host for him. So that's murder, is what that is. Eddie and Venom don't really discover that they need each other. They just team up at the end because it's the end of the film and they need to have another action scene. And I'm sure Anne saved Eddie right before the final fight by turning into She-Venom in the first film. I haven't really watched it since I saw it at the cinema, but she does that in this film as well. So it's just like that whole revisiting things he liked thing. Stop doing that. How does Cletus know that the cop he bumped into was Mulligan, the cop he was looking for, someone who I don't think he's ever met? What was with the wig on Woody Harrelson as well? It wasn't as bad as the one that they had on him at the end of the last film, but it was still terrible. The Ravenscroft Institute, using his Carnage powers, I assume, Cletus gets into a secure cell and surprises someone who's on the outside of it. How did he do that? And Cletus, who's already using his weird Carnage powers, says to Shriek, well, don't freak out about what I'm going to do. She's already seen the weird blood goo tendril thing that's coming out of your back. I don't really think she's going to freak out at anything else. And when he crushes her cell, which is a big glass box, and she's pressed up against the glass and he's pressed up against the glass, why doesn't that shattering glass, murder them both? I could have done without the flashback whilst Mulligan was remembering that he shot Shriek that time in the 90s. Because I know, I saw the first part of the film, you showed it to me, and you even did a close-up on the guy's badge, so I knew who I was talking about. Rating out of 5 beers. I thought this was terrible, and there's not really a lot you could say about it, because most of it was just Tom Hardy talking to himself, or big CGI nonsense, and I can't tell the Venom and Carnage monsters apart because they look the same and they're only just a slight different colour and anyway, whatever. Anyway, I've decided to do a quick rewrite of this film and I will post that soon. Tom Hardy is funny and the bit where he claimed to be having a panic attack was good, but I would still give this 5 beers out of 5.